Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Fair Sports for today's Team of the Week based on the Currie Cup semi-finals. A Bulls-Sharks final this weekend on Saturday. We will be live for that. The time is still to be confirmed, so as soon as it's confirmed, we will let you know what is happening with that. But today we're going to be looking at the top 15 performers from the weekend. A couple of positions were very tightly contested, and whilst the others, it was a bit of a case of the best of a bad bunch. But between the two games, we've tried to sort of pick a team which kind of reflects the weekend. Look, both games were pretty close. I mean, they were pretty close. I mean, the points margins weren't particularly high. So, you know, I think in terms of the players, I think we've got 6 Bulls players, 5 5 Sharks players, 2 Western Province, 2 Lions, which I think is about right, to be honest, because I don't think that the Lions and the Western Province played particularly well, but there were a couple of good performers within a losing cause. So before we actually get into the team itself, please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner there. Smash a like on the video if you like this sort of content, as well as the Currie Cup comes down to the last sort of week, which is quite upsetting. It's been really cool to cover the entire Super Rugby Unlocked and Currie Cup tournament. So thank you to everybody who has supported the channel so far. Without any further ado, let's look at the team itself, which looks something like this. Right, so the front row, I've got Oxenchair at loose head. I thought he was quite good in the loose, as he characteristically is. In terms of scrum battles across both games, to be fair, they were quite even. I mean, both games were quite even in terms of the scrums. If you look at the Bulls game, the Bulls scrum was generally more dominant, but I mean, it was a case of both sides lost 2 scrums. The Lions won 4 and the Bulls won 8. So they won more scrums, but they did have more scrums. You know, it wasn't a case of them just dominating the scrum point. The Western Province and the Sharks, if you looked at the scrums themselves, the Western Province lost 1 scrum to the Sharks 2, and the Western Province won 63% of their scrums, the Sharks 25%. So look, the Western Province scrum was genuinely better, but there was also a scrum penalty quite early on against Ali Vermaak, which allowed the Sharks to get into the front foot. So that's what I've got with Oxenchair. I thought he was quite good in the loose, made quite a few carries, as he usually does. He made 3 carries, making 11 meters, beat a defender. Defensively, didn't do too much. Bongi Manambi for me was the best hooker. I don't think there were too many standouts in terms of the hooker position. Bongi Manambi made 6 tackles. He didn't miss any. You know, his lineouts are always... I suppose, to be fair, he did miss a couple of lineouts, so it was just such a difficult one, because Skalki Rasmus was on and off the field with Johan Krabala because of injury, so there wasn't much continuity there. I didn't think Jakob Asaki was particularly good, and Faison Bati was... Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't anything particularly special. So Bongi Benami gets mine, not just based on the defensive effort that he gave. Trevor Nyakane for me was the standout tight. I thought Thomas Toye was all right. Looked pretty good on his return. He did win a turnover, make a couple of tackles. But I thought that Trevor Nyakane was very solid when it came to scrum time for the Bulls, and was quite good on defense. He made 5 tackles and a turnover there. Frans Malherbe was pretty decent, as was Thomas Toye. Yanni du Plessis was pretty nowhere, as was Carly Sardi when he came on. He was all right, but as I said, it was quite difficult because they were on and off the entire time. For the locks, I've got Sintu Manjesi and JD Schikkeling. Salman Murata I thought was very good. It was quite tempting to go with an all-Western Province lock combination, but I did think that Sintu Manjesi was fantastic at line time. He made a very important steal, as well as 2 or 3 very good line catches where the throw-in wasn't great, but he managed to hold on. And having somebody like that, such a good line option, is a big plus, because winning those set pieces is so important. JD Schikkeling was immense for the Western Province. He topped the weekend's tackle charts with 12. With the second highest tackler with 12. Didn't miss a tackle the entire game. Carried the ball up, set plays. He won 6 lineouts, so he was just Mr. Reliability, really. So a very impressive performance from the veteran. And then the loose trio, I thought Albert Lowe is probably unlucky to miss out. Johan de Toy and John Augustus was fairly solid, as was Henko Venter. Dylan Richardson also made quite a few tackles. I went Marco van Staden at number 6, who made the most tackles across the weekend with 13. Missed just 1 and won 3 turnovers, very importantly. And then I went with Vincent Tuka, who I thought was the standout Lions player. In a losing cause, he made 8 tackles. He didn't miss a tackle. He won a turnover. He carried the ball quite a lot, six times. And he was just everywhere. And often he was making up tackles. You know, a couple of tackles slipped, which then he had to eventually go and make. So I thought he was very good for the Lions. And then Dwayne Vermeulen, Mr. Reliability. He carried the ball 6 times. Defensively, he just made 3 tackles. But I think you look at the contributions he did make, the calming presence, the captaincy, which I think is a big part of it. There's a reason that Jake White did single him out for special praise. Also, I thought that Tigran was quite quiet on defense, didn't do much, didn't do anything, I don't think. Joan Augustus Was all right, was fairly solid on his return, and Liam Samuel also quite a quiet game. So Dwayne Vermeulen gets the nod. And then Jaden Hendrickse is the scrum off I've gone with. He only played half a game, but I thought he changed the game anyway. I thought his game management was particularly impressive when he came on for St. the Humber. And to be honest, I think I would start him in the final, given the half we saw. I thought he kicked very well, he managed the game very well. Made a couple of very nice runs. He's a very talented player. I really enjoyed watching from the junior levels, and he stepped up once again in the semi-final, as did Cohen Bosch, whose boot contributed a total of 14 points of the 19 that the Sharks scored. He is the reason they are in the final. He carried the ball up quite a few times, made quite a few passes. Defensive-wise, he's only asked to make 2 tackles. He made 1. But I thought Tim Swear was all right, nothing particularly special. Alton Youngkins was pretty absent, and Mornay Steyn was solid, but I didn't think it was anything particularly special. I was probably expecting a little bit more game management-wise from Mornay Steyn, but he kicked well, and he kicked also 11 points, so I suppose you can't really fault him for that. But yeah, I just thought that Currie Bosch was the standout. I don't think there's too many arguments there, as there will be no arguments for Shabina Jacobs, who scored 2 tries, the 2 tries that won the Bulls the game in the end. Very important, and what a player he is. And I think Western Province fans are sort of ruining the fact that some of their best players are busy turning out for other unions, because he is a Western Province product. But he made 23 meters in the 7 carries, scoring 2 tries along the way. Defensively, he made 4 tackles as well. I thought Angelo Davis wasn't bad. I thought Curtis Aronson made quite a lot of tackles, was quite good. But I went with Spoon Corsi as the other wing. And there was much of a muchness. Spoon Corsi didn't do much on the attack, as did and Curtis Aronson did probably more on the attack. But for me, I thought the defensive effort for Spoon Corsi was quite impressive. Didn't miss a tackle. I think he made 8 tackles for the Sharks, made 25 meters in just the 1 carry he did have. So I think the biggest problem with the Sharks is that they didn't really give time, weren't able to get their backline in. But when Spoon Corsi was asked to make tackles or make a run, he made quite a big impact. And I think there was a particularly kick chase that sort of stood out, where him and Lukanya managed to go off and win a penalty. It was quite an important stage of the game. For the centers, I thought Cornel Hendricks was terrific. For me, borderline man of the match for the Bulls. I thought his performance went kind of not under the radar, but you couldn't not give Shavina Jacobs the man of the match. But I thought Cornel Hendricks was tremendous. Carried the ball 9 times, making 36 meters, made 5 tackles, and the transition to the inside center has been seamless the entire competition. And another very impressive performance. In terms of outside center, for me, it was between Wandisile Simelane and Lukanya. And I went with Wandisile Simelane because he didn't have a lot of opportunity, but every single time he got the ball, he made something happen. Attacking wise, he made 39 meters with 10 carries. He did score a try, which got the Lions back into it. He had a couple of very good offloads. Lukanya didn't do much on the attack. I think he carried the ball just 3 times as well. And look, defensively, he was basically one to see the Simelane. He always will be, but I just thought that Simelane was a bright light and quite an average Lions backline, with all sort of the backline struggling to get into the game. And he was a bit of a shining light there. But it could have as easily have been Lukanya. So it was pretty much a flip of the coin for that one. And then I've got Apalile Fassi at fullback. It could have been David Creel. It was best of a pretty poor bunch, to be honest. I don't think there were any standouts. Damien Villeneuve defensively was pretty good. On the attack, didn't do much. Apalile Fassi didn't do much on the defense, but I thought attacking-wise, he made 41 meters across the 7 tackles. He did beat 2 defenders, so he did try and create something whenever he had the chance. For Creel, only carried the ball up 3 times. There were no kicks from him as well. Defensively, he made 5 tackles, didn't miss any, so he was very good on defense. And Tian Swanepoel, I thought, was pretty poor, to be honest. Made a couple of carries, made his tackles, but I think he dropped the ball 2 or 3 times in pressure situations, so I think it wasn't his best game. So, yeah, I've gone with Apalile Fassi. It wasn't a great selection when it came to the fullbacks. But let me know what you think of the team down below. This is all obviously my opinion. I want to know what you think of the team. As I said, a couple of positions which could have easily changed. I think we could have had Curtis Aronson instead of Spoon Corsi. We could have had Lukanya instead of Simelane. Could have had Low instead of Tuka, to be fair. Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit of a, it's always going to be a bit of a contentious one. Let me know what you think of the team. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you very, very soon.